of teens in the back, whoop, holding up signs that say, "Will's our king." Keanu gives a small, almost shy smile. His voice soft but clear. We all break something, Will. Even when we're just trying to listen. The audience quiets, caught off guard by the depth. A woman in the front row leans forward, her eyes wide. Will raises an eyebrow, leaning forward, his tone playful, but probing. "All right, let's keep it 100. You ever think your career could have
Been bigger if you weren't so slow?" Gasps ripple through the crowd. A man in the balcony whispers to his friend. Did he just say that? Helena's eyebrows shoot up, her notes forgotten on the table. The floor director offstage adjusts his headset, sensing the shift. Keanu doesn't flinch. He tilts his head, like the question was always there, waiting to land. "What you call slow," he says, his voice steady, almost reverent.
I call present. The word hits like a quiet thunderclap, reverberating through the studio. The crowd murmurs. A few clap hesitantly, then stop, unsure. Will blinks, thrown off his rhythm. Present. Bro, Hollywood doesn't pay for presents. It pays for performance. If I stop moving, I disappear. Keanu's eyes don't waver, calm but piercing. What happens when you disappear from yourself? The
question lands like a gut punch. The audience leans forward, some whispering, others holding their breath. A young woman in the third row grips her friend's hand, her eyes glistening. Will shifts in his seat, his grin faltering, his fingers tapping the armrest, nervously. Helena tries to steer things. Back, her voice careful. "Gentlemen, let's," but Will cuts her off, his tone sharper now. "Hold up, Helena, let's dig."
into this. The stage belongs to them. Now, and the crowd knows it. A camera operator adjusts her lens, zooming in on Will's face, catching the flicker of vulnerability. Keanu leans in, his voice soft, but relentless. "Why did you really want this interview, Will?" Will laughs, trying to play it cool, but it's strained. "Come on, man. It's TV. 2 legends, 1 couch. Ratings gold, right? Good for the brand, good for the fans." The crowd chuckles, but it's nervous.
Sensing the shift. A man in the audience adjusts his glasses, leaning closer. Keanu waits, patient, his gaze unwavering. Will glances at the crowd, searching for the familiar rhythm of their cheers, but they're quiet now, waiting. He shifts uneasy, his voice dropping. "All right. Fine. Maybe I wanted the contrast. Loud versus quiet, fire versus water. You're the calm, I'm the storm. Thought it would make good."
TV. Keanu tilts his head, his voice soft but piercing. "Or maybe you needed to confront something in me, or in you." Will's smile vanishes. He leans back, arms crossed, defensive, his jaw tight. "You know what gets me, man? People worship your calm. You barely talk, and they act like you're some enlightened guru. I've bled for my applause. I've grinded, suffered, lived my mistakes on."
Every screen, every headline. My lows were live streamed to the world on X Keanu. You just exist, and they love you for it. Keanu's voice stays gentle, but it cuts deep. Maybe they're not loving me. Maybe they're loving the space I leave for them to see themselves. Will pauses, his jaw loosening, something breaking in his expression. A woman in the audience wipes a tear, nodding like,
She understands. You ever feel like you're running just to stay visible? Will asks, his voice quieter now, almost vulnerable. Keanu nods, his eyes steady, all the time until I stopped. Well, scoffs, but there's pain behind it. Raw and unfiltered. Easy for you to say. You had the luxury of silence. I stayed, took the hits, owned my scandals. When the world came for me, My mistakes, my breakdowns, every misstep blown up on X.
And every news outlet, I stood there, apologized, rebuilt. I didn't get to disappear. Keanu's reply is soft but firm. And did that bring you peace? Well, doesn't answer right away. His hands grip the armrests, knuckles, paling, his breath uneven. For a moment, he's not the Fresh Prince, not the action hero, just a man carrying a lifetime of weight. A teenager in the audience leans forward, his own eyes red like he's seeing his own struggles, mirrored on stage. Keanu continues his
Voice, like a lifeline. I lost people too. My sister Kim to leukemia. My friend River Phoenix, gone too soon. My daughter, still born before she could take a breath. I didn't vanish because I was enlightened, Will. I vanished because I was grieving. The world went silent, and I didn't know how to keep breathing. The studio is so quiet, you can hear the faint hum of the cameras. A
woman in the front row dabs her eyes with a tissue. A man in the balcony covers his mouth, stunned. Will looks at Keanu, really looks, and the room feels smaller, heavier, like the air itself is holding their pain. And silence helped. Will asks, his voice raw, almost pleading. Keanu shakes his head, his voice steady but tinged with memory. At first, it swallowed me. I was lost, drowning in it, wandering empty streets.
At 3 a.m., wondering why the world kept going without them. I'd sit in my apartment staring at walls, hearing nothing but my own heartbeat. But eventually, that silence became a place where I could hear my own voice again. Not the one Hollywood wanted, not the one fans projected onto me, but mine. I found something there, Will. Not answers, but space to ask better. Questions. Will's voice drops to a
whisper, barely audible. I don't know what mine sounds like anymore. The crowd is silent, riveted. A young man in the back nods slowly like he's hearing his own story. Keanu leans closer, his presence grounding. That's why we're here. Will's eyes glisten, his bravado crumbling like a house of cards. I came to expose you, man, I thought. Let's see. If this guy is really as untouchable as they say, I wanted to make you crack. Show the world you're not some saint with a beard and sad eyes. But all I've done is crack open myself. Keanu nods.
His gaze unwavering. Maybe that's the point. The silence in the studio isn't awkward. It's sacred. Like something holy just unfolded. A woman in the third row sobs quietly, her hand over her heart. Will's voice cracks, barely holding together. I need the noise, Keanu. The laugh track. The cheers. The love. Without it, who am I? If I'm not Will Smith, the guy who's always on, what's left? Keanu's reply is soft, but heavy, like a stone dropped in still. Water. If love only exists when you're
performing, is it love or just applause? The question lands like a blade. Will looks down, fighting tears, his hands trembling. You think I'm still acting? Keanu's answer is simple, steady. I think you're tired. Will stands, then sits back down, frustrated, raw, his voice rising. You know what scares me? If I stop performing, I disappear. The world forgets me. My kids, my family, they need the Will Smith they see on screen. Not. He trails off, his voice
breaking. Not the guy who's still that scared kid from Philly, dodging fights, in the streets, wondering if he's enough, wondering if he'll ever be enough. Keanu's voice is calm, like an anchor in a storm. Or maybe you return. Will's eyes flick to the crowd, searching for their cheers, but their silent captivated some wiping tears. A teenage girl in the audience nods, like she's carrying her own version of that.
fear. I built a version of myself people admire. Will says, his voice shaking. The Fresh Prince, the action hero, the guy who's always on. I gave them what they wanted: movies, music, apologies with style. But I don't know if I admire him. I missed recital, birthdays, quiet moments with my kids, all because I was chasing that version, telling myself it was for them. Keanu steps closer, his presence grounding. You weren't building.
A life, Will. You were building a disguise. Will wipes his eyes, his voice barely a whisper. Sometimes I look at my kids, and I wonder what I'm passing down. My fear, my need to be perfect, the pressure to be something bigger than I am. Keanu's reply is soft but piercing. We pass on what we don't heal. Will closes his eyes, the weight sinking in like a stone. I don't know how to not forgive myself for that, he says, his voice breaking. I cheated. I lied. I
Disappeared emotionally, all while smiling for the cameras. I told myself I was building a future, but I was hiding from the man I was afraid to be. Keanu leans in, his voice like a warm echo. It starts with honesty, and you're already doing that. Will opens his eyes, red but clear, a flicker of hope breaking through. You really think I can come back from all this? Keanu doesn't hesitate. You don't need to come back.
You just need to show up. The audience is silent, some openly crying, others gripping their seats. A young man in the back nods, his own eyes red like he's seeing his own redemption on stage. But Will's not done. He leans forward, voice low but intense, the words spilling out like a confession. You want the real truth? I invited you here because I was
Jealous. Yeah, I said it. I've watched. People love you for just being. I've spent years screaming, bleeding, sweating for the crowd. Every movie, every song, every apology dissected on X, every headline tearing me apart. And you just walk in quiet with that sated wisdom. And they adore you. I hated that. Felt like if I stopped performing, I'd vanish, like I'd lose everything. My family, my legacy, my worth. Keanu listens, unflinching, his eyes steady. Trying what? He asks.
Gently. Will's voice cracks again, raw and unguarded. Trying to be enough for the fans, for my family, for the kid I used to be, growing up in Philly, dodging fights, proving I was more than my circumstances. I've been running since I was a teenager, Keanu. Every time I stop, I hear the doubts, the fears, the voices saying I'm not enough, that I'll never be enough. Keanu nods, his voice soft but steady. And what happens if you stop running? Will laughs.
Bitterly, wiping his eyes. I don't know. Maybe I collapse. Maybe I fall apart, and there's nothing left. Kanu's reply is gentle but firm. Then maybe it's time to collapse. Falling apart isn't the end. It's where you start rebuilding. You don't need to be the Fresh Prince or the action hero. You just need to be Will. The audience is silent, the air thick with emotion. A woman in the third row sobs quietly, her hand over her heart. A
man in the balcony leans forward, his face a mix of awe and recognition. Will takes a deep breath, his voice steadier now, but still raw. You know, growing up, I was the kid who had to be the loudest, the funniest, the one who made everyone laugh to keep the peace. My dad was tough. Love was there, but it came with fists sometimes. My neighborhood
was tougher. I learned early that if you're loud enough, people don't see the cracks. I carried that into Hollywood, into my marriage, into fatherhood. But it's exhausting, man. Being on all the time, it's like I forgot how to turn it off. Keanu nods, his voice gentle. I used to think being quiet was my armor. After everything I lost, my sister, my friend, my child, I didn't want to let the world in. I'd ride my motorcycle at night. Just me and the road trying to
outrun the pain. But silence isn't hiding. It's choosing what to share. You don't have to be loud to be seen. Will, you just have to be real. Will laughs softly, wiping his eyes. You make it sound so simple. Keanu shakes his head. It's not simple. It's hard, but it's worth it. Will pauses, his voice dropping to a whisper. You ever wonder if you're enough, just as you are? Keanu's eyes soften. A rare glimpse of
his own vulnerability. Every day, but I learned that enough isn't about what the world gives you. It's about what you give yourself, permission to be human, to hurt, to heal. Will nods, his eyes glistening. I haven't given myself that permission in a long time. Helena, her notes long forgotten, finally speaks, her voice thick with emotion. Will, what would you say to that man? The one. Behind the image. The one you've been
running from. Will hesitates, his breath uneven, his hands trembling. Then, in a whisper, he says, I'm sorry I left you behind. I'm sorry I made you think you had to be perfect to be loved. I'm sorry I buried you under all the noise. Keanu smiles softly, a flicker of warmth in his eyes. That's a start. The silence that follows feels like healing, like the room is breathing with them. Will looks at Keanu, his voice raw, but steady. How do you forgive yourself for?
the mistakes? The moments you weren't there for yourself, for the people you love? Keanu answers, his voice steady but tinged with his own pain. By staying, by not abandoning the parts of you that hurt. Forgiveness isn't a moment, it's presence. It's walking with your pain until it doesn't own you anymore. I learned that the hard way, Will. After losing my sister, my friend, my child, I thought running from the pain would save me. It didn't. Sitting.
With it did. Well, nods, his eyes red, but steady. I've spent my whole life running from stillness. Every time that got quiet, I heard the fear, the doubt, the kid who was never enough. I filled it with noise, movies, music, headlines, apologies, because I was scared of what I'd find if I stopped. Keanu places a hand on his shoulder, gentle but firm. Then stop running. Will's eyes water, and for the first time he doesn't hide it. I think I just met myself, he says almost.
To himself, a faint smile breaking. Through. Keanu smiles back, soft but certain. And you're still here. But the moment isn't over. Will takes a deep breath, his voice steadier now, but still raw. There's more. I've been carrying this for years. I remember being 15, standing in my mom's kitchen, promising her I'd make it big, that I'd make her proud. Every step I took, every
rap, every role, every award was for that promise. But somewhere along the way, I lost sight of why I was doing it. I started performing for the world, not for her, not for me. And when things fell apart, when the headlines turned ugly, when I let my family down, I didn't know how to face that kid in the kitchen. Keanu listens, his eyes steady.
That kid's still in you, Will. He's not asking for perfection. He's asking for you to show up just as you are. Will's voice trembles. What if he doesn't like who I've become? Keanu's reply is soft but firm. Then give him a chance to meet. You now. Not the star, not the hero, just you. The studio holds its breath, the silence not heavy but transformative. Will stands, no bravado, just raw humanity. He turns to the audience, his voice steady despite the
tears. I brought Keanu here to prove. He's just a man. I thought I'd expose him, show the world he's not this untouchable mystery everyone thinks he is. But tonight he showed me I'm just a man, and that's enough. He looks at Keanu, then back to the crowd. I've spent my life chasing applause, thinking that's where love comes from. I missed moments, real moments with my family, my kids, myself. because I was too busy performing.
But maybe love starts when you stop. Pretending the crowd doesn't clap right away. They're too moved. Some sobbing, quietly others nodding like they've seen in their own reflection in Will's words. A teenage girl in the audience wipes her eyes, whispering to her friend. That's me. A man in his 40s grips his wife's hand, his face a mix of awe and resolve. Helena, nearly in tears herself, raps it up, her voice thick. Will Keanu, thank you for giving us something real.
Tonight, this is why we do face-to-face, for moments that remind us what it means to be human. The lights fade, but the impact lingers, heavy, beautiful, and unforgettable. So fam, how's that for a story? That moment when Will faced his truth. Chills, right? Here's the question we promised. What's one thing?
You're running from that you need to face. Drop it in the comments or just hold it in your heart. We're all on this journey together, and don't forget to tell us your favorite Keanu movie. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell for more stories that cut deep. Let's keep it real, and we'll see you drop. Next one. Dear friends, all the information is taken from online.